Welcome to the Tax Playbook, where I'm giving you tips and strategies to win in your taxes and in your finances. I'm Trenda Hackett CPA, your web CPA with the Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic, where my ultimate goal is to help you alleviate stress and gain the peace that you need. If you have any questions about anything that I share on these videos, you can always visit us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. Hit that Get Started button, fill out that information and hit submit, and someone from our team will reach out to you. So before we get into our topic on today, I want you to like this video, share this video, comment on this video with your questions, and most of all, subscribe to this channel so you can be in the know. So this video is part 4 of a series that I am doing on student loan canceled. That's right, the Department of Education have made so many changes to their program, and it's positioning a lot of you in a position to have your student loans canceled. But what I'm talking about is public service loan forgiveness. And remember, as I said in video 3, you have until October 31st, 2022 to take action. This will not be automatic. This is an action that you have to take. Some of you have been reaching out to me and saying, I don't qualify because my company may be a for-profit, or I don't think I've been at my company for 10 years. Now, to qualify for full forgiveness, you have to have 10 years in full-time public service at the same time while your loan was in repayment for those 10 years. But it still doesn't mean that you don't totally qualify. But your goal is you can get more time credit for past time. So if you were to work in public service in the future, or if you start your own nonprofit, you can start counting your work at that nonprofit. If you work for that nonprofit, you can start counting that as time in public service going forward, ultimately getting you closer to the 120 months or the 10 years. So let's get into our topic on today. And what I want to address on today is, did you know that your company or the organization that you work for currently, or that you have worked for in the past, did you know that company could possibly be a nonprofit organization? It could be a 501c3 organization that is covered under the public service definition for student loan forgiveness that I talked about in video 3. So in this video, I'm going to address 2 questions. Number 1 is, how can you find out if a company that you currently work for or you work for in the past, how can you find out if that company is a 501c3 nonprofit? And number 2, how can you find out if a company or an organization that you currently work for, or you work for in the past, how can you find out if whether or not it is a nonprofit without a 501c3? But before we get started, I want to share with you, there's pieces of information that you're going to need for the information that I'm going to share. A lot of the searches and online to find this information, it will require you to have a company's employer identification number. And you may say, how can I get that? If it's a company you currently work for or you work for in the past, remember, if you looked at video 3, you can look back and get credit for full-time public service or public service based on the definition in part 3 video. Remember, you can look back all the way back to October the 2nd, 2007. You may be saying, that's a long time. So how would I find the name of the company, the employer identification? You can go back and look at your previous W-2s that may be attached to prior year tax returns. If you have the W-2s, your company's the company that or organization that you work for, their EIN numbers on that W-2. You can also check with your tax professional that have done your tax return. I know I have clients that I've done tax returns since 2007, and if they come to me, I have that information on file. I can give them the EIN number, and they can go in and put it in these searches to find the information that they need. So you can do that same thing too. So let's get into our topic on today. How do you know if the company or the organization you work for is a nonprofit or a 501c3 organization? So number one, how can you find out if the company that you work for is a 501c3 organization? First, if you look on the screen, you're going to do this by going to the IRS website at www.irs.gov. Once you get to that website, you're going to type tax exempt organization search in the search box. If you click on tax exempt organization search, then you're going to click on tax exempt organization tool. And once you get to the tool, that you're going to get to this screen, and then you're going to select search for tax exempt organization. Here again, if you look on the screen, this is what you're going to finally get to. This is a database that is on the IRS website. It is a database of all the organizations that have 501c3 status. And remember, you can only get 501c3 status with the IRS. So you can search. You can search by the employer identification number, which you can get from your W-2s, your previous W-2s, from previous tax returns, or like I said, you can go to your tax professional, or you can search by the organization name. Now, if you look here on the screen, I have it, employer identification number. You put that number in. If you hit search and that organization comes up and that's one that you work for, guess what? That company that you work for, it qualifies for the public service loan forgiveness. So what does that mean for you? You can get credit for time that you would have worked at that company. I don't care if you work 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If you work 3 years, that's 36 months, getting you closer to the 120. So you want to make sure, don't just automatically assume that the company that you work for is a for-profit company without going through and checking, first of all, to see are they a 501c3. So the next way you can find out, the next thing you want to find out, so you may say that my company is not a 501c3. It didn't show up on here. It's not a 501c3 nonprofit, but I do know from looking at part 3 video that I said in there that if the company is a nonprofit without a 501c3, that that organization or that employer could possibly qualify you to get time credited for public service towards the public service loan forgiveness. So number 2, if you look here on the screen, I'm going to walk you through how can you find out if your company, if it didn't show up in the 501c3 nonprofit on the IRS website, how can you find out if your company is just a nonprofit without a 501c3? So if you look here on the screen and you follow these directions, and we're going to walk through this. Now, to find out, here again, you want to go to www.irs.gov again. And this time when you get to the IRS website, you want to type in the search box, state government websites in the search box as you see on the screen. So if you look on the screen, you're going to come up to this website. It's going to have the state government websites, and it's going to list all of the states. It's going to list all of the states. But if you have the W-2 that has the name and address and the EIN number of the company that you worked for, if you have that information, you can at least start clicking on that state and see if that organization is in that state's database as a nonprofit corporation, even if they don't have a 501c3 status from the IRS. So as you look on the screen, and let's just say you select the state of California. You select the state of California. Now what I'm showing you here on the screen is once I've gotten to the page on the California Secretary of State website, is to search the business entities. So that's what you'll see on the screen. So to get to this screen, if you would hit, here again, the state government website, and you hit the state of California. Once you go to that screen, you're going to see the Secretary of State. So you can click on any one of these states, and how you're going to find out if the company or the organization you work for is whether or not it's a nonprofit. You have to go and see at the Secretary of State office website for a particular state. So here again, looking at California on the screen, and I got here by selecting California, and I selected business, and there, and if you keep drilling down, you'll see more about business entities, business search, and then you hit search, and then you get to this page on the screen. Here again, you can search by name, but one thing I want to caution you, you can search by name and you can search by ID, but the ID at a particular state is not that IRS number. So generally, you won't have a company's their state ID, but you will have the name, which you can get from the W-2. Or here again, you go back to your tax professional and say, hey, do you have in your software companies that I work for in a particular year? So you get that EIN, so you can search the IRS website, you get the name and the address of that company, and you're just trying to find out. So if you go to one of these particular states, to the state Secretary of State office, and let's just say the organization comes up. And once it comes up, it's going to tell you what is that entity's business type. It could say a for-profit corporation. It may say it's an LLC. But what you're looking for, if it says that it is a nonprofit, then you go back and look at video 3, where I talked about what types of services qualify if the organization or the company you work for, what qualifies as public service if they don't have a 501c3, but they are a nonprofit. Now, I know I have shared a lot of information here today, but here again, make sure you have watched video 3 and then you come back here. So the bottom line is, don't automatically assume that the company that you work for does not qualify without doing your own homework by using this information that I have shared in this video today. Again, if you need help with this, if you need assistance, you can visit us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. Hit the Get Started button, and once you fill out our form, you can put in the comment section and say, I need your student loan package, and we'll reach out to you and we will take it from there. All right, you go out and you have an amazing day, and be sure that you take action now. Don't let October 31st, 22 slip up on you, or you're going to miss out, and the program will revert back to its normal qualifications, and you will not be able to get credit for past time that you have worked in public service, thus getting you closer to that 120 months or that 10-year mark so that you can have your loan fully forgiven. Have a great day.